Tick, tick, tick. Stop scrolling. Seriously, stop right now. Because if this video found you at this exact moment, it's not random. And deep down, you already feel that. There's something you were supposed to do. Something you've been putting off, ignoring, delaying, waiting for the perfect time. But here's the truth. No one told you. The perfect time doesn't come. It closes. And tonight, you're dangerously close to missing it. This isn't motivation. This isn't another feel-good message you forget in 10 seconds. This is your final call. So before we go any further, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment, "I show up now," if you're ready to stop waiting and actually step into what you've been avoiding. Because after this, there's no replay of this moment. Let's begin. Tick, tick, tick. It's subtle at first. Not loud, not dramatic, not obvious, just a feeling. A quiet pressure sitting somewhere in your chest, like something is off, but you can't explain why. Like you forgot something important, but no matter how hard you try, you can't remember what it was. And the strange part? You've been feeling this for a while now. Maybe days, maybe weeks, maybe even longer. That sense that something was supposed to happen, that something was meant to shift, that your life was about to change, but somehow it didn't. Or maybe it almost did. Maybe there were moments, small ones, that felt different. A random thought that hit deeper than usual. A coincidence that felt too perfect to ignore. A dream that stayed with you longer than it should have. A conversation that felt like it was meant for you, and for a second, you paused. You felt it, that pull, that strange awareness that something bigger was trying to get your attention. But then what happened? You brushed it off. You told yourself it was nothing, just your imagination, just coincidence, just another moment in an ordinary day. And you kept going, scrolling, waiting, delaying, telling yourself you'd figure it out later, that you needed more clarity, more proof, more certainty before you made a move. But here's the part most people don't realize. Moments like that, they don't stay open forever. Life doesn't always scream at you. Sometimes it whispers. And if you don't listen the first time, the second time gets quieter, and then quieter, until eventually, it stops trying. That's where you are right now. Not at the beginning, not even in the middle. You're at the edge of something that was already trying to reach you. And you almost missed it. Not because you're incapable, not because you're not ready, but because you kept waiting for a sign that felt undeniable, instead of recognizing the ones that were already there. Think about it. How many times have you felt like you were meant for something more? Not in an ego way, not in a "I'm special" way, but in a quiet, persistent knowing that your life wasn't supposed to feel this stuck, this repetitive, this predictable, like you've been living on the surface of something deeper, but never fully stepping into it. And every time that feeling came up, you pushed it down. Because it didn't make logical sense, because you didn't know what to do with it, because acting on it would mean stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is uncomfortable. So you stayed where it felt safe, where things made sense, where you could explain everything. But safety has a cost. And that cost is missed moments, missed chances, missed versions of yourself that only exist if you actually show up when it matters. And right now, this is one of those moments. That feeling you have, that slight tension in your chest, that curiosity mixed with discomfort, that sense that this message is hitting a little too close. That's not something to ignore, because the truth is, you weren't waiting for the right time. You were avoiding the moment that requires you to act. And now, that moment is here again, but this time, it's different, because now you're aware of it. Now you can't say you didn't notice. Now you can't pretend it didn't reach you. The question is, are you going to do what you've always done? Brush it off, scroll away, tell yourself later, or are you finally going to stop and ask yourself, what if this is the moment I was waiting for, and I've been the one delaying it all along? Because here's the reality most people never admit. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. Opportunities don't pause until you gain confidence. And the moments that could change everything, they don't announce themselves twice. They show up, and then they pass. And whether you step into them or let them go, that decision shapes everything that comes next. So before you move on, before you scroll, before you dismiss this as just another video, Ask yourself something honestly. Why did this stop you? Out of everything you could be watching right now, why this? Why here? Why now? Because deep down, you already know the answer. And whether you act on it or ignore it, that choice is what this entire moment is about. Tick, tick, tick. Midnight isn't just a time on the clock. It's a line. Not a dramatic, flashing, movie-style moment where everything explodes and changes instantly, but a quiet shift. The kind you don't notice right away. The kind that reveals itself slowly through what's missing, not what's obvious. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. Nothing magical is waiting on the other side of midnight. No secret beings disappear. No invisible door slams shut in a dramatic way. What changes is you. Your attention. Your willingness to act. Your openness to the moments that were trying to reach you. Think about it like this. Have you ever had a phase in your life where everything felt aligned? Where things just clicked? You met the right people at the right time. Ideas came to you effortlessly. You felt motivated without forcing it. Even small things felt meaningful, connected, alive. And then, without warning, it faded. Not all at once. Just slowly. You stopped noticing opportunities. You felt less inspired. Things felt heavier, more routine, more normal. That's the after midnight feeling, not punishment, not loss, just disconnection. And here's where the human truth comes in. It doesn't happen because something outside of you decided to leave. It happens because, over time, you stopped meeting life halfway. You stopped responding to the small nudges. You ignored the moments that required even a tiny bit of courage. You delayed the decisions that needed action. And eventually, your brain, your habits, your entire system adapted to that pattern. It said, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So it stopped sending you those signals, stopped highlighting those opportunities, stopped creating that sense of pull. Not because they disappeared, but because you trained yourself not to respond to them. That's the real frequency lock. It's not mystical, it's behavioral, psychological, human. You either stay in motion or you drift back into comfort. There's no neutral. And midnight? Midnight is just the moment you either reset that pattern or reinforce it. That's why this moment matters more than you think. Because right now, you're aware. Right now, you can feel that something is off. Right now, you're being given a chance to interrupt the pattern. And those chances don't come constantly. They show up in moments like this, when something hits you differently, when you pause without knowing why, when you feel slightly uncomfortable, but also strangely curious. That's not random. That's awareness trying to break through routine. But here's the hard part. Awareness alone isn't enough. You've had awareness before. You've had moments where you realized, I need to change something. I shouldn't keep doing this. I know what I need to do. But what happened after that? You went back to the same habits, the same delays, the same I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow became next week. Next week became someday, and someday it quietly turned into never. That's what after midnight really is. It's the moment where later finally expires, where you either act or you accept staying the same. And staying the same doesn't feel painful at first. It actually feels comfortable, familiar, easy. But over time, it turns into something heavier, a quiet frustration you can't explain, a sense that you're capable of more, but not doing it, a feeling of being stuck even when nothing is technically wrong. That's the cost of missed moments, not chaos, not failure, just a slow fade of meaning. And that's why this matters, because right now, you're not stuck. You're at a decision point. A small one, yes. But small decisions, repeated over time, create completely different lives. So the question isn't what happens after midnight. The real question is, what pattern are you about to continue? Are you going to do what you've always done? Ignore the feeling. Tell yourself it's nothing. Move on and forget this moment ever happened? Or are you going to do something different? Even if it's small, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's just acknowledging that this moment matters. Because the truth is, your life doesn't change in one big, dramatic moment. It changes in quiet decisions like this one. When no one is watching, when nothing is forcing you, when it would be easier to do nothing, and you choose to show up anyway. That's the real shift. Not midnight, not time, choice. Right now. Tick, tick, tick. Let's clear something up, honestly. That feeling you have, that sense that your life is supposed to be more than this. It doesn't make you superior to anyone. It doesn't mean you're part of some secret group or that the world revolves around you. But it also isn't meaningless. It's responsibility. And most people misunderstand that completely. Because feeling chosen isn't about being selected for something glamorous. It's about being aware of your potential and no longer being able to ignore it. That's why it feels heavy sometimes. That's why it doesn't let you relax fully. That's why even when everything looks fine on the outside, something inside you keeps saying, "This isn't it." And that voice? It's not random. It's built from everything you've experienced. Think about your life for a second. Not just the highlights, but the confusing parts. The setbacks that didn't make sense. The moments where things almost worked and then didn't. The times you felt ahead of others in one area, but completely lost in another. The way people have always described you, different, hard to understand, full of potential, but not consistent. And maybe that frustrated you. Maybe it still does. Because you can see what you're capable of, but you haven't fully become it yet. That gap? That's where the pressure comes from. Not because you're failing, but because you're aware of what's possible and you're not acting on it consistently. That's the human truth behind this whole idea. No mystery, no fantasy, just awareness plus hesitation. And when those two exist together, you feel stuck, you feel late, you feel like time is slipping because deep down you know you've been delaying something. Maybe it's a decision, maybe it's a skill you should have started building. Maybe it's a path you keep thinking about but never committing to. Or maybe it's something even simpler, showing up for yourself, daily, without excuses. That's what most people avoid. Not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. Because it removes all the stories we tell ourselves. I'm waiting for the right time. I need more clarity. I'll start when I feel ready. But if you're honest, you've had enough clarity for a while now. You just haven't wanted to deal with what comes after clarity. Action, consistency, discipline. Those aren't exciting words. They don't feel magical. But they're the difference between people who feel like they're meant for more and people who actually become more. So when you hear something like "you were chosen" translated into something real, you've reached a point where you can't pretend you don't know better. That's it. You've seen enough, felt enough, experienced enough to realize that staying the same is now a choice, not a lack of opportunity. And that's why this moment feels intense. Because once you're aware, you lose the comfort of ignorance. You can't go back to not knowing. You can only move forward or stay stuck on purpose. And staying stuck on purpose, that's where regret starts building. Not loud regret, not dramatic regret, just quiet thoughts like, I could have done more. I should have started earlier. Why didn't I take it seriously? And those thoughts don't show up immediately. They show up later, weeks, months, years. When you see someone else doing what you once thought about, when you realize time passed whether you acted or not, when you understand that nothing was actually stopping you except you, that's the part people don't like hearing. But it's also the most freeing truth there is, because if you are the one delaying yourself, you're also the one who can stop, right now, not perfectly, not all at once, but enough to change direction. And direction matters more than speed. You don't need to fix your entire life tonight. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need some huge, dramatic transformation. You just need to stop pretending you don't know what you already know. That's the shift. That's what separates this moment from all the others you've ignored. Because right now, you're not confused. You're deciding whether to keep waiting or finally take ownership of what you've been putting off. And yeah, it might feel small, almost too simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Showing up when you don't feel like it, that's hard. Doing the thing you've been avoiding, that's hard. Breaking your own patterns, that's hard. But staying stuck while knowing you could change, that's harder in the long run. So when you feel that pressure in your chest, when something inside you says, this matters, don't turn it into a fantasy. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't wait for it to feel perfect. Just recognize it for what it is, a moment of clarity. And clarity is only valuable if you act on it. Tick, tick, tick. At this point, you don't need convincing anymore. You feel it. Not because of anything mystical. Not because someone told you you're special. But because something in this message didn't just pass through you. It stayed. And that's the first real sign. Not numbers, not coincidences. Attention. Out of everything you could be doing right now, you're still here, still listening, still thinking, and that means something simple, but powerful. You're not as disconnected as you thought. You're aware. And awareness is where everything starts. The real signs this moment is for you. No fantasy, just truth. Let's make this real. Human. Honest. This message is for you if you've been thinking about changing something for a long time, but haven't acted. You start things with energy, but struggle to stay consistent. You distract yourself when things get uncomfortable instead of facing them. You feel capable of more, but your daily actions don't match that. You keep saying, I'll start soon, but soon never comes. And the biggest one, you're tired of your own excuses. Not in a dramatic way, just quietly. You're starting to see your patterns clearly, and it's getting harder to justify them. That's not a bad place to be. That's the turning point. What happens if you ignore this? The honest version, nothing crazy, no punishment, no sudden collapse. Life will go on exactly as it is. And that's the problem. You'll wake up tomorrow, scroll again, think the same thoughts, delay the same decisions, feel the same low-level frustration in the background. Days will turn into weeks, weeks into months, and one day you'll look back and realize you weren't stuck. You were just waiting for a version of yourself that only exists if you take action. And that realization, it's heavier than failure. Because failure means you tried. This means you didn't. So what do you do right now? Simple, real. No overthinking, forget complicated routines. Forget perfect plans. Forget trying to change your whole life tonight. Do this instead. 1. Pause. Just for a moment. Not dramatically, not spiritually. Just stop moving for a few seconds. 2. Be honest with yourself. What's one thing you know you've been avoiding? Not 10 things. 1. 3. Say it clearly, out loud if you can. I've been delaying this, but I'm not waiting anymore. No performance, just truth. 4. Take one small action immediately. Not tomorrow, not later tonight. Now. Send the message, start the task, write the first line, open the file, do the uncomfortable thing, even if it's tiny. That's it. Not because it solves everything, but because it breaks the pattern. What changes when you actually do it? Not your whole life overnight, but something important shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who thinks about change and start becoming someone who acts. And that identity shift, that's where momentum begins. You build trust with yourself again. You feel a little more in control, a little more aligned, a little less stuck. And those small shifts, repeated, create everything you've been waiting for. The truth about the final warning. This isn't the last message you'll ever hear. It's not about time running out in some dramatic way. It's about this. How many times are you going to ignore yourself before you finally listen? Because moments like this, they do come again. But they don't feel the same every time. They get easier to ignore, quieter, less urgent, until one day, you don't even notice them anymore. That's what you don't want. Not missing one opportunity, but losing the ability to see them at all. Final call to action, make it real. So if this hit you even a little, don't just close this and move on like every other time. Do something different, right now. And before you go, comment this. I show up now. Not for anyone else, for you. Because words mean nothing until you back them with action. Closing line, say it once. Clearly, I am ready. I stop waiting. I show up now. Then don't just feel it, prove it.